When my spiritual seeking story disappeared and the habit of seeking wound down and stopped echoing altogether, the first thing I felt was disappointment, because a hope I carried for 3 decades died with the search. Then came relief, more than I knew what to do with. And then everything went flat. And I've heard the same thing from person after person I've had sessions with, as it happened to them too. That obsession is gone. That crazy pull that's been driving you, that's gone. And in its place, there's a blankness that nobody prepared us for. Because we were promised peace, bliss, expansion, compassion, something that sounded beautiful, like an intimacy with the unity of existence. But not this. Although, to be fair, some sources also cover the hard parts, like the dark night of the soul. But they make the darkness sound meaningful. Like the fall is just a setup for the grand comeback. And then the seeking actually ends, and what arrives is a Tuesday morning where nothing is technically wrong, but nothing is pulling you forward either. You're standing in your kitchen. Life keeps moving, eating, working, talking, and none of it lands anywhere special, which for an explorer of the unknown sounds completely anticlimactic. But special and ordinary are part of the same game. What we're actually talking about here is everything that gave experience meaning dissolving altogether. The imagined depth, the spiritual altitude, the ladders of states and stages, all of it. And that includes the non-spiritual stories that you could fall back on. And what's left is flatter than anything the books described. One-dimensional, if you want to call it that. There's none of that instinct left to make sense of experience. And no moment produces a takeaway. Nothing needs to integrate, evolve, or deepen. Everything is already as shallow as it gets. And that shallowness feels total. This flat part has no story arc whatsoever, which is exactly why nobody warns you about it. Dark nights and breakthroughs make good stories, and good stories sell. And there's nothing to sell in that this Tuesday morning. And the way this works is, while spiritual seeking is alive, it plugs into a very basic part of you, the part that moves towards things, the part that leans into the next moment. It's the same thing that gets you across a room or navigates you out of danger. But seeking gives that system the ultimate target, and that impossible goal builds huge momentum because you never arrive. That's why the whole loop feels so strong. But when that target falls away, the momentum begins slowing down, the obsession drops, the sense that something is missing thins out, and the thing that used to move you isn't doing anything anymore. It's like the shock of the first weeks of retirement. What organized your day is gone and nothing replaced it. You're not suffering, you're not lost, but you just don't know what to do with yourself. And you could conclude that something went wrong, not what was promised. You might want to set out to fix the flatness and find the richness that surely must have been the point. But again, the urge to do something about the flatness, about the quiet, is the same instinct that built the seeking loop in the first place. And the discomfort you're feeling is just the absence of a question you spent years struggling to answer. And after years of running on urgency, you can read stillness as a problem. And maybe you can feel that right now, a little bit. There could be this faint lean in as you listen, checking whether the point of this video has arrived yet, waiting for me to finally make my point. That lean is the momentum that I'm talking about, and it's running this second. So just let it go unanswered for a moment. No point, no arriving, nothing to take from this. What's left when the lean has nothing to reach for, that slightly boring, unremarkable now, that's the flat part. You're already in it. But the flatness is also where subtle things become noticeable. The body starts becoming audible, and it's settling itself in a way it always could, but only once the mind stopped talking over it. And the whole system seems to find new traction and on its own schedule. Something quieter than being pushed forward by a story. More responding to what's here rather than to an idea about what's ahead. It feels like contact more than a purpose. I like this phrase that I coined at some point. It's like the world stopped being a riddle to solve, and it's now a texture to experience. So if your seeking dropped and what you are left with is relief plus nothing, that's to be expected. That's the flat part that nobody told you about. And after a while, something like inspiration comes back, but different, because inspiration usually means a story catching fire. You see a version of yourself worth becoming, and that pulls you forward. And that's what sometimes we call being an authentic self, right? But this new one comes with no story attached. So let me ask you this question. What is authenticity without a story? Reality, doing its own thing through you, and it doesn't need your supervision. It's been carrying you this whole time, including into the flat part, including here. It shows up from nowhere and whispers. And the flat part is quiet enough for you to hear it. And one more thing. Don't treat the flat part as a period of time. It's not a stage, even if it sounds like one. My story here might have made it sound like something you go through after a breakthrough. And that's not at all what I meant. You can't really attach this to any stretch of time. And if that sounds confusing, let me ask you this. When did this moment start? When did now begin? See, you can't really put a finger on it. That's what I mean about the flat part. It's not a stage, it's not a period. It's just something that happens, and it arrives the same exact way as the answer to the question, when did now begin? And if any of this lands, you want to talk about it out loud with someone who's been through it, that's what my meetings are for. The link is below. And I think it's slowly becoming sort of a typical segment that I would mention at the end of the video. But if what I'm saying resonates, but I just don't come across in a way where you really feel that connection, you don't like how I express myself, do yourself a favor and check out Emerson Non-Duality. My friend and still a mentor, he introduced me to this meeting format. I had sessions with him 2 years ago and then started offering my own as a way to kind of return the favor. I see it literally as a basic courtesy. And if it is me and you'd like to talk with me one-on-one, go to the link below, book a session, and use the code FREE in capital letters, and that makes our first meeting free of charge.